Testing, testing, testing. All right, installation and maintenance. The UC passenger car brake equipment with quick service feature instruction pamphlet 5054, May 1936, Westinghouse braking. And we're on installation and maintenance. All the pipe connections are permanently made to be universal valve pipe bracket. No pipes needed for the disconnect with the remove of the operation portion of the valve. Loosen the bolts which hold them in place, being all that is required. The bracket should be installed with the near the brake pipe, where possible. But the branch pipe may be short. Depends on the piping. Should be avoided. Care should be taken to be locating the valve to have it free of obstruction would be rendered with the inspection removal of the difficulty. Universal valve should be placed above the general level of the piping. The piping itself over the range and avoid pockets. Moisture may be collected if its point does not require proper attention. Trouble may be experienced in cold weather from the freezing of the water and pipe and even in the valve. Before installing the universal valve, the piping should be thoroughly hammered, blown out, and in order to loosen the remove all scale foreign material, especially important with the new installments. In a suitable compound to make a tight joint with it should be applied with the male thread portion only, never in the socket. Do not use red or white lead. After the piping is complete with all jackets should be thoroughly tested under pressure. Soap sides are made airtight. Never remove the operating parts of the universal valve while on the car, and one of the portions of the valve is not working properly. It needs cleaning and lubricating. Take it down and replace it by a portion in good condition. After cleaning and lubricating should be done at a bench by a competent man where liability damage of the internal parts of the valve is at least. Any attempt to remove the parts of the valve while it's still on the car is almost sure to result in large percentage of valves being injured by careless handling of the dirt getting inside of the pipes of valves. Lubricating the brake cylinder. Cover the brake cylinder, cut out valve, remove the nuts of the non-pressure head bolts, remove the non-pressure head, release the spring piston from the cylinder, cleaning the cylinder, scrape the old lubricant with the cylinder scrape the old lubricant from the cylinder wall, leave the groove, wipe the surface to clean the dry. Kerosene may be used as assisting. Cylinder cleaning must be completely removed. If the cylinder wall is rusted, the rust should be removed with sandpaper. Cleaning piston and packing cup. Scrape old lubricant from the metal part. Packing cup, the dull edge with a round edge scraper like a easy knife. Wipe all the surface clean and dry. The packing cup should be carefully examined and it should be renewed if brittle. Then any point with the cut cracked, otherwise affected, examine the piston fowler plate with the cracks. Tighten up the fouling plate nuts. Apply new capping packaging cups. Examine the fowler with the tightness and position located with the packing cup essentially on the piston. Place the fowler and piston. Apply the nuts. Bring them into contact with the fowler without tightening. Then draw them down uniformly. Figure illustrate showing the initial step filling the piston packaging cup into the brake cylinder. Alright, application of lubricant. Apply a coating of the brake cylinder lubricant to the wall of the cylinder to the outside of the packing cup with a brush. Assemble initial step of the fitting of the piston packing of the cup in the cylinder. Illustrated on page 82 to prevent the possible damage with the sharp edge of the cylinder packing cup should be pressed inward at the points of the contact as shown in the illustration. When the piston is in position, enter into the cylinder. Sleeve or rod should be slowly raised into the piston. Move it into the cylinder until the upper portion of the packaging cup engages the cylinder wall. From this portion of the cylinder, while the sleeve of the rod is being gradually raised, take the special care not to crimp or otherwise damage the packing cup. The pull upward and outward on the sleeve or rod into the horizontal position. Push the piston into the release position. When assembling the piston brake cylinders in other than customary location between the underframe, the methods employed must be changed. Required to procedures similar results. Right, your universal valve. Proper interval with the cleaning and lubricating of the universal valve is determined in each particular case. Careful inspection and trial while the conditions are severe and valve are exposed to extreme weather and dirt. So on relatively frequency, inspections will or no doubt be found necessary where the valve is protected, not subject to the hard use of the interval may be obviously lengthened. Lubricating slide valves and seats of graduating valves. All oil, gum, and grease should be thoroughly removed from the slide valve and seat with a bush and face of the graduating valve using benzene gasoline to ensure this. The face of the graduating valve with both upper and lower shift of the slide valve with the graduating valve with the slide valve seat upper portion of the bushing wherein the slide valve spring bears should be lubricated with a high grade of fine, dry, pure graphite root, rubbing it on until the slide valve seat shows the dark copper color. To apply graphite, use the stick and shape of the paddle with an 8 inches long handle with a small piece with a chamois chasms glued into one end. Put the small amount of chasm skin rubber surface specified, leaving no free graphite on the slide valve seat. When the work is completed, slide valve seat must be entirely free of gum and oil. Care should be taken when handling parts of the lubricating of these hands. Not come in contact with lubricated parts with coating graphite is easily removed. Equalizing release and emergency pistons. The piston rings and bushings which should be sparingly lubricated with the first pushing the piston release position. Applying a drop or two of oil circumference the piston bushing, spreading it over the surface uniformly as possible. Then move the piston back and forth several times to ensure the proper distribution of the oil on the wall of the cylinder. After this, surplus should be removed the outer end of the cylinder. Care should be taken not to permit any oil from getting on the gaskets. Equalizing pistons should stop. The equalizing piston stop should be lubricated with a drop or two of oil. The charging high pressure valve lubricating of these valves oil the same manner as described above for the piston. No lubricating should be used with the quick action piston, intercepting valve, protection valve, or cutoff valve. Alright, general items cutting out the defective brake. When found necessary for the cutout of the brake, clove of the branch pipe cut out when bleed all reservoirs. When the double equipment that have been an independent brake rigging on each truck, if any of the truck rigging members fail with the brake on the end of the car affected, may cut out the closing brake cylinder, cut out cock on the end of the car. Locating defects caused by blowing various exhaust ports or universal valve, allowing tabulation of the list of the detail between heading particular exhaust port being considered various causes that may result with the blowing of the air. These ports are equipment in various positions. Equalizing slide valve exhaust port leak, equalizing slide valve graduating valve and release end of the release piston. Release slide valve exhaust port leak releases the slide valve. Emergency slide valve exhaust port. Leak emergency slide valve, graduating valve, high pressure valve. Brake cylinder exhaust port, leaky release slide valve, leaky equalizing slidey valve, and graduating valve release piston seal. Protection valve exhaust port, leaky atmosphere seat, a protection valve, quick action exhaust port, leaky quick action valve, emergency slide valve, graduating valve. Alright, surface lap position, equalizing slide valve exhaust port, leaky equalizing slide valve, graduating valve application, end of the release piston, releasing slide valve exhaust port, leaky equalizing slide valve, release slide valves, emergency slide valve exhaust port, leaky emergency slide valve, graduating valve, high pressure valves, cutoff valve, brake cylinder exhaust port, leaky release slide valve, and an equalizing slide valve, protecting valve, exhaust port, leak atmospheric seat of the protection valve. Quick action exhaust port, leaky quick action valve with emergency slide valve and graduating valve. Emergency position, equalizing slide valve, exhaust port, leaky equalizing slide valve, graduating valve application, end with the release piston. Release slide valve, exhaust port, leaky equalizing slide valve, release slide valve, or release slide valve. Emergency slide valve, exhaust port, leaky emergency slide valve, release slide valve, or high pressure valve. Brake cylinder exhaust port, leaky release slide valve, equalizing slide valve, protection valve exhaust port, leaky emergency piston seal, quick action exhaust port, leaky emergency slide valves. And then it shows a blank page. Alright, the UC equipment for the cars in both freight and passenger. Show the figure 27 of the diagram, a view of the U28 universal valve with the range for the both freight and passenger. Show the figure 34 piping diagram, the UC equipment modified with the same purpose. The necessary changes consist of the insertion of the plug X with the port V2 with the pipe bracket, quick action phase connecting pipe connection number 7 to the emergency reservoir, placing cutout cock with the pipe in the emergency reservoir and pipe bracket number connection number 8. And passenger when the cutout open, the operation of the universal valve will be the same as already described in the pamphlet. And freight service, however, the cutout cock should be closed with the graduated release placed in the direct release position of the arrangement. Continue with the prevised pressure. Need equalizing portion, secure proper operation while high pressure feature of the emergency is eliminated by the reason the cutout cock plug X cutting off the emergency reservoir supply quick action port with the graduated release cap. direct release position, graduated release operation, avoid relatively slow brake pipe pressure, and release rate. Common freight services piston travel should not be less than 7 inches, preferably 8 inches. When transfer cars from freight and passenger ship of the cutout cock should be operated graduated release cap and returned to the graduated release position. Then there's a list of illustrations and then some more illustrations. Alright, that completes the reading of the UC passenger car brake equipment quick service feature in the instruction pamphlet number 5054.